Hi, everyone. I wanted to come on here and kind of give you all my why. Um, this is the first time I've ever said anything really personal about myself, and I just went to a coaching class about public speaking, which, surprise, I've been doing this whole time, right? You've been watching my videos, and they said you need to have a why. And although they didn't urge me to do this, I thought, what a good idea to kind of share my why. So, and it took me even a while to kind of figure out what is my why. Why did I start this business? Why did I decide to, help local businesses? And really, what it comes down to is actually my mother. So, those of you who know me well probably have met my mother. She only lives 2 miles from me. And what a lot of people don't know, might know some of her story, but they don't know all of it. Um, my mother was born in Spain, and she met my father in the Air Force in the late 1960s. He was there. He was one of the lucky ones that ended up instead of going to Vietnam, he went to Spain. That was like almost a vacation. Um, so they met and got married in Spain and moved to the United States. But at the time, and I only really thought about this in retrospect. My mother basically gave up her job. She was a nurse in Spain, and because she fell in love with my father, she moved to the United States because that's where he was from, and that's where they decided they were going to live. So he brought my mother back, and she never really worked until I was in college, and she gave up her family, her career, and basically everything to raise a family. I'm her only child, and I never really understood how much my mother gave up to basically be a mother. Um, but I think a lot of us can relate to that. A lot of us women quit when we got to a certain point of having children, maybe not immediately, but a lot of us took some time off. And that's kind of where my passion grew because I want to help small businesses, but it's really getting down to it's women. I'm helping women businesses and almost, looking back on my clients, almost all of my past clients, not all of them, but are actually divorced. So that's another thing my mother went through that also kind of gave me a kick in the butt. Uh, it was actually 13 years ago, but I was in my 30s, and my mother had had enough. My dad had cheated on her multiple times, and my mother's very religious and did not want to leave him because she thought it was a sin or against the church, but she just couldn't deal with it anymore, and she decided to hire a lawyer. So imagine this: you get a call from your mother, she's crying, and she says, "Your dad's still cheating on me. I want to divorce him. Can you help me?" So I lived in Northern Virginia at the time, and I knew my mother's situation. She doesn't know it. She didn't know anything about their money. She never did anything. She never wrote a check. My dad literally handed her cash. So she had no power. My dad had all the power. And my mother doesn't even know how to use a computer or log in. She's never even used an ATM actually to this day. But I said, oh my God, my dad is such a liar. And I can't believe I'm saying this on a video, but he really is. And my good friends who know my parents' story know the whole depth of this. But I knew my dad would hide money. And he actually tried to do it, but got caught in the end. So in retrospect, what I did was right. I jumped in a car and drove 3 hours to Williamsburg without my father's knowledge, basically snuck into his house and made copies of every single piece of financial statement I could find. And back then it was like 2005 because I did have a son at the time. Because I wanted to have documentation as to how much money was there right then. Because I knew the second my mother told my father that she was leaving him, that he would try to hide money. And he ended up being right. He did try, but because of what I did and the copies of the tax returns we had made, he got caught. So I just remember it was horrible. My mother had never lived by herself, had never taken care of herself financially. She never had a job. I mean, luckily she was married to my father for 35 years. So according to Virginia law, she was supposed to get half. But she just had never taken care of anything. She didn't know how much anything cost. She never paid the bills. She didn't know anything about mortgages. She didn't know anything about anything when it came to money, if you can believe it. I know that this is not something most of us can, most of us that I'm talking to, I think are younger and can't exactly, but, I think a lot of us can understand that, when the men make more money, they have more power. And my father definitely had power over my mother. And it was overwhelming. And then just the emotional part of just coming to realization that she was going to be alone, living alone. Although, just to tell you all, she's much better off today. This is 2018, and my mother's very happy and came out of this great. So I don't want to trigger any depression in anybody, because I know a lot of you have gone through divorce, and it was terrible. But I just remember we were sitting, actually, I think I'm sitting in the bathroom and talking to my mother, and she said, "I hope this never happens to you." And I just went, this is never going to happen to me. And I don't want it to happen to anybody else I know either. So that's why I'm telling you this story. That is why I want to make my money for myself. I went, not immediately, actually. It took me a while, but I decided to come back to work, make my own money, and just have something that's mine. And I think that that's what a lot of women want to do. And, I've looked at statistics, and I'm nowhere near this, but I know that a lot of women stay in marriage because they're afraid to leave financially. So I want women to be independent. I think that women having power and having choices is better for everyone, not just me, but my friends, the community. And it's just kind of put a kick into me. This is what I want to make sure, that I'm independent and can be independent. And it's not just if it was a divorce, it could be a death. I mean, I know I have family members who've lost their husbands very, very young, and it was freak. They were healthy. So you never know what's going to happen. Again, don't want to be a big downer, but it's motivating to work on websites and to have them be successful, so that businesses come to, clients come to you, customers come to you, and making money is that much easier, because that's power. And that's what I want to leave my legacy to be. Power for me, power for you. So that's my why. There's nothing left to say. So thank you for listening. And I actually had another video prepared for today about relating public speaking and blog posts, but I'll save that for next week. And have a good weekend. Have a good week, guys. Bye.